Hey everyone, here at osandvtxreviews.com. Today we're giving you a full video review of the HTC Desire. This is a US cellular version. It's also the version here in the US as well as the CDMA version. There's also the GSM version, which is basically it just uses different technology in terms of cellular connectivity, but pretty much everything else is exactly the same as the normal version. It's just the HTC Desire. Now, the HTC Desire is being branded as a phone which is a HTC Sense, or an updated version of the Google Nexus 1, which HTC has customized and tweaked to their likings. Now, in the past, we've seen a lot of HTC customized items, like on the HTC Touch Tilt 2, they've made their own TouchFlow 3D interface on Windows Mobile, and on Android, of course, they have their own interface, which is called HTC Sense, and it's one of the best Android customization skins that any manufacturer has put on the market, with Android on the background that we personally think, and a lot of people think so as well. Now, HTC Desire on specs, it's basically the exact same thing as you're getting from HTC Nexus 1. We have the same expensive 3.7-inch capacitive touchscreen that displays 16 million colors with a AMOLED display, which means it's an AMLED display. It's an organic display, which is getting more and more popular with manufacturers like Samsung and HTC on their high-end smartphones, which produces more vibrant colors and it saves a lot of battery life, and it's great for outdoors and indoors. It's still a little hard to see because the screen is made out of glass, so it does reflect a lot of stuff, like when you see it in this light condition. But under most conditions outdoors, it still is very readable, which is pretty impressive. As you can see, color saturation is also really great, and all the text and things are really vibrant. We were just really pleased with the display in general, because when we're browsing the web, the large display and the really crisp screen in general just made even the smallest text really readable. We'll see that in a second as we launch a web browser. Otherwise, other hardware specs are the same. We have the same Snapdragon 1 GHz processor on here, and 576 RAM for pretty good performance. It's not the fastest out there these days. You can get better specs, but it is one of the more classical devices. Other notable features is that the screen, you have your proximity sensors or speakers. Down below, instead of touch-sensitive buttons, now we are replaced with a physical buttons for the Android keys of Home, Menu, Back, and Search. These buttons are really easy to press. They're really tactile. They are also nice and responsive. Also, instead of a trackball or a trackpad, we are replaced with this mini optical jog stick, which is nice because it allows you to move back and forth, and it's always a nice experience there. So, let me see if I can connect to everything here. Other notable features is that the optical mouse or the optical joystick is pretty sensitive. It's not the most sensitive, but it definitely allows you to move around through different home screens and navigations, and as you can see, it's fairly responsive and fairly fast at navigating through different features. And if you press something, like we'll go into the all app drawer, you can definitely tweak around and change the sensitivity levels and stuff like that. Otherwise, the device is made out of metal finish. The top trim is made entirely out of this one-piece aluminum, which is nice. Otherwise, the back is made out of this compound of a soft touch grip material. It's nice. Also to note that the chin is tilted upwards, so when we're holding this in one hand, the buttons are more faced up, so it's easier to press and use one-handedly. Other features in the hardware department include a 5.0 megapixel autofocus camera with an LED flash. We have a speaker and a 3.5mm headphone jack, a on-off switch. The on-off switch is a little bit tilted onto the top, so it's a little bit hard to access. Sometimes you need to press it, make your finger go up and press sometimes, so it's a little hard to access this, but it still is pretty easy to use because the phone is just really slim overall. It's a pencil's width. That's what HTC is calling it. A volume rocker on the left-hand side. It's easy to use. Nothing else. Just your micro USB on the bottom. No dock pen connection. You have all your connections via the micro USB and your microphone. So there's only one microphone on this. So a few drawbacks compared to the Google Nexus 1 is that there's no dual microphone for noise cancellation, but everything else is pretty much the same. With HTC Sense, a lot of things are more prettier and definitely more slicker, if I may say. It's Android 2.2 on here. Upgradable by HTC. So as you can see, all the colors, this is just the HTC Sense. You can see all the live wallpapers are moving in the background. It just makes for a really pretty aesthetic experience overall, and you can definitely pinch for the HTC Sense leap screen view. and that's also something pretty nice. Taking up the app drawer, you can also see that they've done a lot of stuff down below. There's not a lot of customization going on in terms of the interface. You still have the top drop down notification drawer, and on the below you can see this little curve which allows you to tell which page you're on. There are 7 home screens instead of typical 3, which is something also improved by the manufacturer. You can also press add in order to add your widgets, apps, your shortcuts, whatever you want. If we had to add a widget, one of the best features is HTC has done a lot with the widgets and the interface. We can add HTC Weather, which is a really pretty application. We can even add stuff like Stocks by HTC. You know, HTC designed a lot of these mini apps that look fantastic on the display and handset and are really speedy. Play Store, which is the Android marketplace nowadays. HTC News, we have all our Twitter and Facebook updates. Everything else is pretty standard, except there's also HTC footprints on this device. What that means is it tells you your favorite picture, which is basically uses a geotagging or a geo chipset in here, and that allows you to know when you're looking at like the Eiffel Tower or some other place in the Great Wall of China. It tells you that you took this picture in Beijing, or it tells you took this picture in Paris or in London, and it gives you these places with geotagging enabled, and it's very cool. It's on a real map view, and it's something that's really neat in general. We also have HTC bookmarks, but one of my favorite just play around features is HTC clock, because HTC has done like 12 clocks, which is a ridiculous amount of work just on clocks alone, but they're really pretty, all of them. You can pick from the classical HTC Leap screens, from the more unclassical ones, and the ones that are just cooler in general, timepieces, classical, modern, hip, whatever you're looking for. They offer a lot of designs, and even ones that are not included in here, you can purchase from these packs. When we're talking about packs, what they mean that they have different skins, even in HD Sense itself. How we can explain this is, right now the skin that we're using is Play. It's kind of like Sprint's ID pack, where you have multiple sets of these apps, and the phone remembers your screens and what widgets you save onto multiple settings and multiple accounts. So right now we're on Play. You can also change this to work for a more professional, setting, so that the home screen is going to look. Maybe the wallpaper is going to be more black, more professional. The clock is going to be more professional. It's going to take away a few of the playing apps like web browsing. It's going to take a few Angry Birds or stuff like that. And it's really just going to be for work and for work alone. And remember, so that you can change, as you go through the day, change these different settings to tweak different home screens and skins, which is something pretty nice. It's really easy to access these. You just go into the settings. And again, HTC has done some work, because the settings, all the instead of normal Android where all the buttons and keys are just grayscale monochrome, this is also in full color. As you can see, all the symbols are in color, which looks pretty cool as well. If you press personalize, where I'm talking about scenes, is where you can skip all of these different things. You can change from social, work, play, from clean slate. If we try something like clean slate, and we just press cancel, we're just going to use clean slate. We go home. We can see that there's nothing else on here. It's just a very clean slate, and the wallpaper has also changed to one that HTC has preset for the clean slate backdrop. This is a very gray monochrome edge. It still looks pretty nice. It's really responsive, but this has been really just your basic phone features, and that's everything. Otherwise, the phone is very speedy, very fast. Call quality was excellent. It's one of the better microphones and chipsets built in here. Placing the phone on your ear automatically allows the the ringer to stop and the volume to adjust manually, so you don't get, so your volume isn't too loud when you place it on your ear. So it has automatic settings. Otherwise, you have all your standard Google apps, including Gmail, Maps in general, just looking at the area. We have our accounts, our syncing, Android Marketplace. The camera is a fairly nice camera. It's pretty decent. It takes pretty nice shots. It's autofocus. You can pinpoint where you want the camera to focus. So if we have a phone here and we press this area to focus on, it takes 720p high definition video, which is something that's pretty nice. You don't usually see. You're seeing a lot more in these phones these days, but it's still a very nice feature to own. And as you can see, it focuses and allows itself to capture if you press the thumbnail, and it's pretty fast loading times, and it looks pretty nice. You can delete, you can send it to Facebook, to MySpace, Twitter, or to YouTube, and all those web services. So the camera is also very decent. HTC also built in a flashlight app, which has an HTC emblem on the logo on the back, and there's a flashlight. You can change the settings to brighter, to lower, to off. It's another very cool feature that you usually have to get on your own. HTC has built right on into this phone. Other notable apps, games all run very nicely on this product, as you might expect. I've got a few. It can also act as a Wi-Fi hotspot, just to use this as kind of a router, so you can emit the Wi-Fi signal if you buy a monthly plan from US Cellular and from other carriers, just to use this phone as your Wi-Fi product. Otherwise, let's just take a look at the web browser, because that's basically something very important in phones these days. The 3.87 touchscreen is great. This phone's really slim, but that's because, again, it has no physical QWERTY keyboard. It relies on a software QWERTY keyboard, and a software QWERTY keyboard is pretty good on this. It has a haptic feedback when you press it, which is something pretty nice. It also has a native support for a lot of just browsing. Not all Flash content will load perfectly, but a lot of them are starting to work really nicely. You can just load YouTube directly from the browser without having to download the YouTube app, or go to the YouTube app just to watch YouTube videos, which is another cool feature. For example, if we go to NewYorkTimes.com, that's basically the mandatory testing site, we can knock this off, and New York Times, and we'll see how fast it loads. Speeds are pretty good, but you have to expect that it is loading some content, some Flash content and stuff in general, so it's going to be a little bit slower than just maybe Safari from iPhone, but it is loading a lot more. And I have to say the HTC Desire's web browser is really impressive, because after everything has loaded, it's one of the smoothest and silkiest experiences on a lot of Android handsets that we've tested. As you can see, it's scrolling after it's loaded. Let's wait for a little bit. There we go. After it's loaded, all the pages and transitions are just really smooth, and pinch to zoom just works really well. Font will be reformatted and automatically adjusted to fit the screen's width. Otherwise, multi-touch is also crystal smooth. It's just an experience that really mirrors a lot of the top smartphones, which it is. And just in general, it's a really powerful performer and something that's really impressive, because especially if we tilt the phone, I don't know if this is viewable, but all the text is actually, you can actually read it on the display right now, even in this most zoomed out view, which is something I've always found to be appealing, because I don't have to do too much zooming and panning. But otherwise, if you even zoom in, the font and all the crispness of the screen really does come into play here. And the automatic proximity sensor will dim and change the screen depending on your views and what you expect. Again, another video is loading there. But it still remains very fast. No checkerboards. So overall, that's just a first look and our video review of the HTC Desire. It's a very good smartphone. It's very solid, especially for US Cellular. It's one of the better choices out there, because their selection of Android handsets, in terms of just really top of the line handsets, are kind of limited in a lot of areas. This phone really brings the best of the best. It's got a great display. It's not too large. It's not too small. It's got a great screen. It's got a great processor. Everything is really fast. HTC Sense is just a really customizable and enjoyable home screen experience. And overall, this phone does not lag over time. Through the months of testing and the weeks of testing we've done, it does not just, after the first few weeks that we use it, it doesn't just drop out on performance. The camera is excellent. Everything is just excellence, from detail, just to the screen, to the vibrancy, and to the customization. Whether you want to play games on it, read on it, take pictures on it, use a GPS on it, or just call people on it, the HTC Desire is a great choice. Thanks for watching here at OS and VTXReviews.com. This has been a video review of the HTC Desire.